Hey, it's me, Raika. Today we're going to have a look at the brand new dimensional hero, Emilia, the spiritual arts user. Now, this hero wears cloth-based gear, is part of the mage class, and her primary role is to provide a massive amount of damage, secondary stats such as haste, healing, and various other stats, and a bit of control for your allies. So let's have a look at her skills. Her ultimate skill, Essence of a Spiritual Arts User. Emilia cannot gain energy by attacking, getting attacked, or through any other method. She starts the battle with full energy and will immediately cast her ultimate to summon Puck to assist her. Puck is a little cat that follows around and deals damage to the enemies. While Puck is present, Emilia will lose energy. When her energy reaches zero, Puck goes to sleep. While Puck is summoned, it will continuously fire ice crystals at the area with the most enemies, dealing magic damage to all targets and inflicting frost effect on them for a brief period. Each time a target with frost effect takes damage, they take extra magic damage. Each enemy can only trigger this effect once every few seconds. While Puck is asleep, Emilia recovers energy every time an allied hero uses their ultimate skill, until she uses her ultimate skill to summon Puck again. Now, the level 2 unlock, the extra damage caused by the frost is increased to 450% of Emilia's attack rating, and the level 3 enemies that take extra damage from frost 3 times become frozen for 2 seconds. So this is essentially a stun-like effect, which essentially makes enemies unable to use their abilities or their ultimate skills. So let's have a look at her next ability, Ice Flower. Emilia freezes all enemies for a period of time between 0.5 to 1.5 seconds. The lower the current health of an enemy, the longer they will be frozen for. The level 2 and 3 increase this duration all the way to 2 to 4 seconds. And the level 4 unlock, if an enemy is immune to control effects or is already frozen, they will instead take damage equal to 400% of Emilia's attack rating. Her next ability, Lesser Spirit's Blessing. Emilia creates a blessed zone that lasts for a certain duration. Allied heroes in the zone recover a certain amount of health, 120% of Emilia's attack rating per second for the duration of 8 seconds, and 40 energy points for this entire duration. The level 2, the blessed zone is expanded, so the region that it covers is increased. The level 3, allied heroes in the zone gain 30 points of haste for this entire duration, and the 30 engravings. Allied heroes outside the zone will receive its effects at half of their strength. So let's have a look at next ability, the Great Spirit's Might, which is a passive. If Emilia dies, Puck goes on a rampage, freezing all characters on both sides and dealing magic damage, with additional magic based on the health they lost by all enemies, up to a certain limit. Allied characters will only take part of the damage after a delay. If Emilia is the only surviving allied hero, she will become immune to fatal damage and invincible for a brief period of time. So this brief invincibility is 2 seconds, and this effect will trigger immediately. And this effect can only be triggered 1 time per battle. Emilia is immune to any damage dealt by Puck while he is on a rampage. In level 2, base damage is increased to 500%, and additional damage is increased to 20% of the health lost by all enemies, and their maximum damage is increased to 800% of Emilia's attack rating. And the 60 engravings, when the Great Spirit Puck goes on a rampage, allied heroes no longer take damage from this skill. If Emilia is the only surviving allied hero, she will recover all of her health. So let's have a look at her signature item. Ice User. When you unlock this signature item, the defense rating of frozen enemies is reduced by 20%, so this is a pretty significant debuff applied to the enemies. The level 10, frozen enemies lose 50 energy points per second, so this essentially stops the enemies from using their ultimate skill. After coming out of being frozen, an enemy's defense is permanently reduced by 25%, and this can stack 2 times, so this is a grand total of 50% of defense reduction. And the 30 out of 30 unlock, when an allied hero other than Emilia deals damage to a frozen enemy, the allied hero recovers 100 points of energy. This effect can only be triggered by each ally once every 3 seconds. So this is a pretty significant amount of energy recovery, essentially allowing your allied heroes to snowball and continuously keep casting their ultimate skills. So let's have a look at her furniture. Her 3 out of 3. Emilia's energy consumption while Puck is summoned is reduced to 50 points per second. So when her ultimate is used, it previously used 100 points per second, and this is reduced all the way to 50 points. So this is a 50% reduction, the 9 out of 9. While Puck is asleep, the energy Emilia recovers when an ally uses their ultimate is increased to 200 points. So this essentially means that when 5 ultimates have been used, then Emilia will be able to use her ultimate immediately and summon Puck to her side again. So let's have a look at how she does in battle. Now, because this hero is extremely strong at controlling and dealing damage to the enemies, I would highly recommend placing her on the back. However, if you would like to buff your allies through the energy recovery, haste, and the various other secondary stats that she can provide for your allies, then I would recommend placing her on the back row. So in this case, I'm going to place her on the back row with a couple of invade-like heroes. So there we go. This is my invade-based team. All right, so let's see how she does in this specific battle. So as soon as the battle starts, she summons a little cat. Now this will freeze the enemies. As we can see, the entire screen is frozen, allowing your allies to easily gain control of the battlefield and start dealing damage to the enemies. Now, in addition, she also provides a massive amount of energy. So as we can see, all of our allies are either using the ultimate or have already used their ultimate skill because of the massive amount of energy recovery that Emilia can provide to her allies. So because of this, I would recommend placing her in control-based teams, as this will allow them to essentially continuously to spam their ultimate abilities, and essentially Emilia can be a good replacement for a hero such as Kazod, who, unlike Kazod, Emilia can provide a massive amount of energy and defense reduction, which will allow your allies to use their ultimates quicker and be able to deal more damage to their enemies. So let's have a look at this specific battle. Now, in this specific battle, I've placed her on the back row with 2 powerful heroes in the front line, one a tank and another support hero. And as we can see from this specific battle, she was able to do damage similar to Awakened Thane. Now, this is another battle over here. As we can see, she also provided a decent amount of damage and a significant amount of healing to other invade-like heroes. So invade heroes might not be that beneficial or be paired up with her in the most effective way, because essentially invade heroes will be always on the enemy side of battle, where these allied heroes will not gain the benefits or the full effect of the haste, energy, and healing provided that Emilia can provide to them. So as we can see, this is another heavy control-based team, where as we can see, Mehira would charm the enemies, and Emilia over here would provide that extra energy so that heroes such as Mehira can charm faster. And as we can see, Emilia has replaced, in this case, Kazod's role in freezing and controlling the enemies. Now, as we can see, this is another team. So as we can see, we have 2 stall-based tanks over here, both Grizul and Alna, who can essentially stop the enemies from invading. And this will allow your backline damage dealers such as Odin, Emilia, and another hero, you can easily take control and one-shot all the enemies. So let's have a look at how she does in this specific battle formation. So as we can see, as soon as we start in battle, she'll summon her little kitten, and this will start freezing the enemies. There we go. A couple of them have already been frozen. And as you can see, Odin has already started to use his ultimate ability. Now, as we can see, all of my allied heroes are continuously generating energy. However, Emilia is sapping the enemy's energy, essentially stopping them from using their ultimate abilities and allowing my allies to skyrocket in their potential and damage effectiveness. There we go. And we have one-shotted all the enemy heroes. So, what is the minimum investment that I would recommend into this specific hero? Now, I would highly recommend getting her 30 out of 30 signature item, as this is extremely powerful, as this provides additional energy recovery for your allies. So if you have a control-based hero such as Mihira, Odin. This will make them extremely effective in their certain battle formations. In addition, I'll also recommend getting the 20 out of 20, as this will reduce the enemy's defense, allowing your allies to deal more damage to them. Now, her furniture is also extremely powerful, as this allows her to use her ultimate skill more frequently, reducing the amount of energy consumption, essentially allowing her to freeze enemies more often, to deal more damage, and provide a significant amount of control for your allied heroes and claim victory over your opponents. Now, her engravings are not that powerful. However, I would not recommend getting her 30 out of 30 or her 60 out of 60 engravings, as this will not provide her any additional benefit. However, another consideration could be made to give this specific 30 out of 30 engravings. The reason for this, if you have allies that invade or push the enemies back into their enemy half, this could essentially provide your allies a bit of extra support so they could start taking control of the battle. So if the enemies essentially try to push you or you can push them, this will essentially give you more flexibility in Emilia's positioning, whether she's on the front row or on the back line.